Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another YouTube video. This time we're going to be grading every AFL trade rumour that is currently in the scene. Now it is just the end of August. There might be new ones by the time this comes out. There might be some decisions by the time this comes out. Hawthorn now, Ned Reeves, obviously Lloyd Meek is the ruckman now. Ned Reeves isn't. He's going to be wanting to go somewhere. He's contracted till 2026 though, so I think he's going to stay. But if he wants to go somewhere, maybe at Geelong, maybe at Collingwood. To be honest, I don't think he's a first team ruckman anyway. I don't think he has the capabilities, but as a second team ruck, C+. If he goes somewhere, I don't know. Melbourne now, and you know, strap yourselves in because Melbourne have a lot. Alex Neil-Bullen is going to South Australia and he's nominated Adelaide, as a club of choice. Great player for Adelaide, A+. Super important player for Melbourne, hard-working, important for culture. Adelaide will like him, and Melbourne are going to be fuming. Clayton Oliver, I mean, when will this saga stop? He's going to be going. I think clubs would be a little bit dumb to go for him. He's shown this season, he's just lost it. He's lost it. Now, he could obviously get this form back. He can. We've seen before tumultuous seasons from players and they bounce back, but I just think from a culture standpoint of a club, it's risky, and he's going to get offers from a lot of teams. But I think if you're Oliver, actually, you know what? He's probably best off leaving. But I think whatever club gets him is probably a C+. A C+. Because he can play good football, but he'll be a lot of money. I think that's a risk. Cosy Pickett is going interstate back to either South or Western Australia for family reasons. A lot of these Melbourne players are leaving for family reasons. Wherever he goes, I'm one of Cosy Pickett's biggest fans. He needs to be a bit more consistent, but I think especially if he goes to teams like Fremantle, I don't think he suits South Australian clubs. I think they're fine for small forwards, but I think West Coast and Freo he would be great in. I think it's an A+ wherever he goes. Young, exciting, and he can arguably be a midfielder in a few years. Adam Tomlinson, he was brought in from the Giants. He's now not in their starting 22. He's a bit of a defender winger. He's unrestricted free agent, so he can go anywhere. But St Kilda and Collingwood are the teams who were given the most interest. I don't like this trade for Collingwood. I think they have enough mature wing defensive talent. I think he'll suit St Kilda though as a role player. That for me is more of a B+, but for Collingwood, a bit confusing, a D. North Melbourne, LDU allegedly tracking interest from St Kilda and Essendon. He's put contract talks on hold with the Kangaroos. I reckon he's going to go. Honestly, this guy served his time at North. He deserves a move. I think if he goes to Essendon, that could be a turning point for that club because some of the midfielders they have now are great, but LDU could be the difference maker from winning a final to not winning a final for Essendon. That's an A+. St Kilda as well, both those teams in the midfielder. LDU is talented, getting into its prime, outstanding footballer. I think that's an A+. And if North lose him, they go back 100 steps and it's going to be a long season whenever he does go. Will Phillips, he's really struggled. It was a high draft pick, number 3 at North Melbourne. He's just not gotten his football game right. I think he should go, to be honest with you. Where should he go? I don't know. I think the only teams he will really start for are Richmond, maybe a West Coast. I think Richmond will be dumb not to take him. I think he could give us something. Depends how much they're going to offer for him. But given he's a pick number 3 draft pick, North will probably want somewhere pretty high up in the draft order as a replacement. And I haven't seen that from him. So I think if any club goes to Will Phillips, I think it's a B overall. But if North are asking for a high price, it's a bit more of a C. Port Adelaide, Miles Bergman is interested. Coming back to Victoria, very Melbourne-based, particularly. He's out of contract for Port Adelaide in 2025. He's an outstanding defender, Bergman. I think he's super underrated in the competition. Port Adelaide fans know how good he is. If he goes to a Melbourne-based club, that's an A. He's outstanding. And I think for Port, look, if he wants to go, you can get a lot of draft picks for him because he's really talented, so it's not the end of the world. Dan Hewson as well, another Port Adelaide player who wants to go back to Victoria. Apparently Melbourne has emerged as early front runners. Or Carlton also apparently being favourites. I think Hewson he's all Australian multiple times, outstanding player. He's going to cost a lot. And I think if Carlton can fit him in that team, A+, outstanding player. But depends where he goes. If he goes to Melbourne, for him, doesn't really make sense. Because Adelaide are arguably going to win a flag in the next 5 years. I think also Carlton are looking like that. Melbourne, St Kilda are other teams he's linked to. Just not exciting. And I think Houston would be stupid to leave Port to go to one of those two clubs. Ivan Soldo obviously played for my club, Richmond. He couldn't break in over Jordan Sweet, who I don't think that's that good of a ruck. So it's really embarrassing for Soldo. Not embarrassing, sorry. That's actually fucking cruel. What am I talking about? I'm a dickhead, bruv. It is unfortunate, sorry, is what I meant, where Soldo has left the state of Melbourne, Victoria, sorry, to go to Port Adelaide. in Adelaide and it's not worked out. I think he should stay one more year and try and get it, because injuries, we don't know what's going to happen with Sweet. But if he was to go somewhere else, I think that trade just gets a B. I don't think he's that special, Soldo. Ollie Wines is getting interest for North Melbourne, out of contract till 2026, or contracted till 2026. If North Melbourne get Ollie Wines, it's an F. Maybe an E, actually, because Wines is outstanding and he's been good this season. 2025 and 2026, particularly, he's going to be getting older and older. And for North Melbourne, why are you getting someone like that in? Why? Doesn't make sense. I mean, how old is Ollie Wines right now? He's 29, so he'll be 31, 32 by the time 2027 rolls around. I don't think it's worth it for North unless they're higher up on the ladder and he plays that sort of bench player role. So, E. The Tigers now, this is where I have most knowledge on. Baker's going to West Coast, and for West Coast, that is an A+ trade. He's an outstanding player, a leader for Richmond, he's vice captain, I believe, courageous, and we're gonna miss him. Shea Bolton, also going to Fremantle, I believe, maybe West Coast, but Western Australia nonetheless, but I think Fremantle more likely, and I think that is an A+ as well. Jack Graham though, Jack Graham, and by the way, Shea Bolton, just to elaborate a bit more on him, fuck, such an outstanding player, and we're fucked without him. Jack Graham is going to go to Western Australia, apparently the Eagles, although he was linked to Port Adelaide in previous years. He's from Adelaide, South Australia. I think this is a C trade for West Coast. He can barely break into Richmond's side. How's he going to do any better at West Coast when they have a better midfield? I'm not so sure. Tom Lynch is an interesting one. He's attracting interest from Collingwood and Melbourne. Look, the foot injury he's got is really bad, and he's never going to play good football or prime Tom Lynch football again. So I personally, as a Richmond fan, want to get Tom Lynch off our papers, free up the salary space. But if you're Collingwood and Melbourne, I think that's a really stupid play to go for given the injury run. And I think that is an F if they get him. It's stupid. Dan Rioli, he's going to go to Gold Coast, and I think for Gold Coast, this is an A+. Once again, for Richmond, it's either basically a fail or an A+. Rioli is outstanding. Dim has worked with him before. It all makes sense. It's going to work perfectly. It's almost a guaranteed to work for me, unless injuries happen. And that's my club finish. St Kilda now, Josh Battle is going to Hawthorn. Basically guaranteed. Hawthorn have so much space in the salary cap to bring players in. I think it's a B. I think it's a decent trade for Hawthorn. He'll be a good player down back, and he's pretty versatile as well. Luke Parker is a player who is slowly getting more injured, a little bit older, and with the Sydney midfielders coming through, he's going to be more out of favour next year. He's been linked to North Melbourne. I think right now, he's still got good football in him. Will he stay? It's a hard one for him, because if he stays, he's guaranteed. If he stays, he's arguably going to win a flag in the next 2-3 years. But will he even be in the team to win the flag is the question. I think Luke Parker going to North Melbourne is a B. It's not as bad as Ollie Wines for me if it's a now, but if it's in 2 years, I think that's more of an F. So let's give it a B if North get him on the off season. Chad Warner, now my God, one of the best players in the comp. When he's on form, he's the best player in the comp, arguably. Remains contracted until 2025. He's got interest from Fremantle. He's playing in a monster offer that could allegedly reach to figures of 1.2 million a year. Fucking hell. It's the best trade of the window. I think this is even better than Petrarca, because Christian Petrarca, let me get this up, he's 28. Warner's 23. The football this man has in him is remarkable, and this is an A++. Plus. For the Swans as well, now, if they were to be given picks for him, if Fremantle had to give picks up, he could go for 4 first rounders. This man is generational. So I know this sounds crazy, but if you're the Swannies, I'm looking at a trade here. Not looking at it, sorry. I'm like not closing doors, is what I'm trying to say. Tom Barras is officially requested a trade to Hawthorn. I think for Hawthorn, this is great. A+, perfect trade for them. Really disastrous for West Coast though. Liam Ryan, he's reportedly quite gettable, despite having 2 years on his deal. We don't know where he's gonna go. I think Liam Ryan should probably stay at West Coast given what they've given him, but I think he could work at most clubs. I think he's a B+ wherever he goes. Jake Waterman, finally for the Eagles, free agent at the end of 2025. He's just made All-Australian. I mean, fuck me. If he goes, I mean, Melbourne and Geelong, the club's interested. If he goes to Melbourne, I think Melbourne have to throw the kitchen sink at this guy. He's outstanding, and I think West Coast need to keep him because obviously Darling's getting older and worse. Waterman and Allen are a good duo. I think if Melbourne get this guy or Geelong, it's also an A+. It's a common theme here, A+ is rolling around. Caleb Daniel, falling out of favour for some reason in 2024. Apparently Melbourne is closely linked with him. If Melbourne get Caleb Daniel, I think that's a C+. Just a little bit of question marks. I think his age as well is, he's 28, so he's not getting any younger. Riley Garcia's had a really good VFL form, but can't really do it in the AFL level. Port Adelaide and West Coast are interested in him. He was born in Western Australia, so let's just say he goes to West Coast for that reason. I don't think West Coast should get him. I think this is an E-trade. I think West Coast have plenty of players similar to Garcia, and I don't think that makes sense. Rory Lobnow's got 2 years to run on his 4-year deal, but apparently he wants to seek a trade. Collingwood is... Now, I think Lob's going to stay because Beveridge has found his position down back where he's flourished. But if he wants to leave, if he goes to Collingwood, I think Collingwood will take him. Rory Lob, though, he is not that young. Oh my God, Rory Lobb is 31. Holy shit. If he was to go to Collingwood this season, I think for Collingwood I think it's a C, because they don't really need help defensively. It's more the forward line. I think they need help with the key forwards there. And then Bailey Smith, he's going to be going to, for me, Hawthorn, but Geelong apparently are the favourites. If Geelong get this guy, it's an A, not an A+. I just think with the injury, we're not sure how he's going to come back from that injury. The ACL might really fuck him over. And even though he has played really good football in the past, is he a guaranteed, like, is he a top 20 midfielder in the comp when he's fit? I don't think so. If he goes to Hawthorn as well, I think Hawthorn suits him better. He's a Hawthorn fan. They need midfielders more. Both will give an A if it happens. They're all the trade rumours. By the time this comes out, there will be different storylines, different parts to this, and this video might look really stupid in hindsight, but that's what I've gone through. Thanks for watching. Yeah, I'll see you in another video.